A black Mercedes pulls up to a quiet house in the Munich suburb of Aschheim. It is just after midnight, June 23, 2020. A man steps out, tall, gaunt, wearing the same dark suit he had on in court that afternoon. He hands his lawyer a small black bag. Inside it, the architecture of a fraud 19 years in the making. Within 72 hours, 19 billion euros of shareholder value will evaporate. A company that sat in Germany's elite DAX index alongside BMW, alongside Siemens, will file for insolvency. 1.9 billion euros, supposedly held in trust accounts in the Philippines, will be revealed to have never existed. Not misplaced, not stolen, never existed. 18 months earlier, this same company was being called Europe's answer to PayPal. Its CEO was a confidant of Angela Merkel. Its auditors had signed off year after year for a decade. The Financial Times had been warning the market for years. Germany's regulator responded by investigating the journalists. This is the autopsy of Wirecard. Wirecard begins in 1999 in the rubble of the dot-com boom, processing payments for the corners of the internet that respectable banks refused to touch: pornography, online gambling, the grey edges of European e-commerce. It is small, suspect, and very profitable. In 2002, a young Austrian consultant named Markus Braun takes over as CEO. He wears a black turtleneck. He speaks in Steve Jobs cadences. He tells anyone who will listen that Wirecard is not a payments processor. It is a technology company, a data company, a future company. The market believes him. Through the 2000s, Wirecard acquires a small German bank, giving it the regulatory perfume of legitimacy. It begins announcing acquisitions across Asia, in Singapore, in Indonesia, in the Philippines. The numbers grow, the margins grow, the stock climbs. By 2018, Wirecard's share price has multiplied more than 20-fold in 5 years. It surpasses Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank, a 148-year-old institution, in market capitalization. It is admitted to the DAX 30, displacing Commerzbank. German politicians celebrate it as proof that Germany can build tech champions. Chancellor Merkel personally lobbies for Wirecard's expansion into China during a state visit in 2019. At its peak, the company is worth 24 billion euros. Markus Braun is a billionaire. He owns roughly 7% of the company himself. He gives lectures about ethics in artificial intelligence. The auditor of record, signing off on every annual report, is Ernst & Young, one of the Big Four. They will sign clean audits for over a decade. The first cracks are not cracks, they are warnings, and they are dismissed. In 2008, a German shareholder association raises questions about Wirecard's balance sheet. Wirecard responds by hiring Ernst & Young to investigate, and Ernst & Young finds nothing. In 2015, the Financial Times publishes a series called House of Wirecard, questioning the accounting. Wirecard's stock dips, then recovers. The journalists, led by a reporter named Dan McCrum, are accused of market manipulation. Think about that sequence.
The answer lies in the fact that $2 billion is missing, the equivalent of the entire company's operating profit.
In 2019, McCrum and the Financial Times published documents, internal Wirecard spreadsheets, suggesting that profits in the Dubai and Dublin subsidiaries had been fabricated. A whistleblower inside Wirecard's Singapore office had been raising the alarm internally for years. Germany's financial regulator, BaFin, responds by filing a criminal complaint against the Financial Times journalists. It bans short selling of Wirecard stock, the only such ban in German history for a single company. The German establishment circles the wagons. This is a national champion. The attack must be foreign. The attack must be coordinated. The attack must be wrong. The attack was right. Wirecard commissions KPMG to conduct a special audit intended to clear its name. KPMG cannot verify the existence of roughly €1 billion in revenue. They cannot get access to the source documents. They cannot confirm the trustee accounts in Asia exist at all. The report is published in April 2020. The stock falls 40% in 2 days. June 18th, 2020. Wirecard is supposed to release its audited annual results. Instead, Ernst & Young refuses to sign. The reason given is precise and devastating. 1.9 billion euros in cash, supposedly held in two Philippine banks, cannot be confirmed to exist. The two banks issue statements. BDO Unibank, Bank of the Philippine Islands. Both say the same thing. Wirecard is not and has never been a client.
Wirecard hid the fraud from financial
presented to its auditors were forgeries. The signatures were forged. The account balances were invented. 1.9 billion euros, roughly a quarter of the company's stated assets. Gone, because they had never been there. Markus Braun resigns the next day. He is arrested on June 23rd. He posts 5 million euros bail and walks out the same night. But the central figure of the fraud is not Braun. It is Jan Marsalek, Wirecard's chief operating officer, an Austrian, charming, fluent in 5 languages, a fixture of European intelligence circles. Marsalek had managed the Asian operations. Marsalek had managed the relationships with the trustees, who did not exist. Marsalek had managed the partner companies in Dubai and Manila that, on inspection, turned out to be empty offices, single rooms, retirees being paid to answer the phone. On June 19th, Marsalek boards a private jet from a small airfield in Bad Vöslau, Austria. The flight plan lists Minsk. He has not been seen since. German prosecutors now believe Jan Marsalek was working with Russian intelligence, possibly for years. The man who fabricated 1.9 billion euros in a German blue-chip company may have been an asset of the GRU. On June 25, 2020, Wirecard files for insolvency. The first DAX member ever to do so. 24 billion euros of market value. Vaporized. In a Munich courtroom, a former Wirecard accountant testifies that for years she received instructions to book revenue from companies she had never spoken to, in countries she had never visited, against contracts she had never seen. She asked her supervisor once where the numbers came from. She was told they came from upstairs. She did not ask again. Fraud is rarely the work of one liar. It is the work of 1,000 small silences. At Ernst & Young, junior auditors had asked, year after year, to see direct confirmation from the Philippine trustee banks. They were told the documents would come. They were shown screenshots. They were shown letters on letterhead. For more than 3 years, no Ernst & Young auditor visited the bank in Manila to confirm, in person, that 1.9 billion euros existed. The procedure was on the checklist. The checklist was checked. The money was not there. An audit that cannot be bothered to look is not an audit. It is a ceremony. At BaFin, the German regulator, officials had received the Financial Times reporting, the whistleblower complaints, the KPMG concerns. They had chosen to believe the company over the reporters. The president of BaFin himself had personally traded Wirecard shares while his agency was investigating short sellers of the stock. When asked later why his agency had attacked the journalists, he said simply that Wirecard was a German success story, and the attacks felt coordinated and foreign and wrong. Patriotism is not a substitute for due diligence. And in the boardroom, Markus Braun, the visionary in the black turtleneck, the man who lectured on ethics, held 7% of a company whose central revenue stream was, by the end, a spreadsheet maintained by a man now believed to be a Russian intelligence asset. Braun has always claimed he was a victim too, that he, like the auditors, like the regulators, like the shareholders, was deceived. The most expensive frauds are the ones everyone wants to believe. The black Mercedes is gone from the driveway in Aschheim. The headquarters building still stands, empty now, the logo removed, the parking lot weeded over. A German court sentences Markus Braun in 2025 on charges still being appealed. Jan Marsalek remains at large, reportedly in Moscow. The 1.9 billion euros was never there. It was never going to be there. It only had to seem like it was, long enough for everyone who needed to believe to keep believing. Somewhere, right now, another company is being celebrated as a national champion. Another regulator is choosing the story over the evidence. Another auditor is checking a box. The next Wirecard is already public. If you found this autopsy worthwhile, the investigations into Theranos, Greensill, and Enron explore the same architecture from different angles. The same silences, the same ceremonies, the same believers. The pattern does not retire. It only changes its name.